My name is Walter Navarro. I am the Vice President of Ad Sales for Viacom CDS, Latin America. And my daily routine now in quarantine consists of waking up, working out, have a big breakfast usually after, and then I sit down in my living room and I work from home. I will try to stop for lunch for about half an hour or so. And then I'll just continue working, and around 6 or 7 p.m. I shut down and try to stop working. I was exposed to the virus, now I know, on June 28th, 2020, on a get-together that we had with a few other couples. We all had been isolated and very careful amongst ourselves, so we figured getting together wasn't going to be that big of an issue. At that time, we had already been isolating for a few months. Everybody was experiencing a little bit of isolation fatigue, so we figured getting together for dinner wouldn't be an issue. 2 days later, I started feeling some symptoms. I started having a little shortness of breath, a little cough. When I got the phone call from my sister-in-law, who told us that she had tested positive, so we immediately went to the hospital and got ourselves tested as well, my wife and I. After the 5th day or so of being exposed to the virus is when I started going downhill a little bit more than my wife. I am asthmatic, so I believe that obviously had something to do with it. But my shortness of breath got more and more intense. I was having trouble breathing. I had a fever. I had extreme fatigue. I could barely get up and go to the bathroom. The physical side of it was very challenging. I went to the hospital twice to get my lungs checked. I was given steroids, 2 different rounds, and I was given antibiotics for the infection. And that respiratory issue lasted about 11 days, but that was coupled also with a very difficult mental aspect to it, because not only of not knowing what is going on with this brand new disease and whether or not I was going to make it out of it, considering I had asthma and everything that you were reading at the time, but there was also, I think, a clinical aspect to having corona, psychologically speaking, where I was just very affected mentally. I was feeling depressed, I was feeling anxious, I was crying myself to sleep, I couldn't have conversations with people, my cognitive skills you slowed down a little bit. I found it difficult to put together sentences, I was transposing words in front of each other. So that very intense sort of lifespan of the disease was about 11 or 12 days, like I said. And then I physically felt okay, but then I stayed with lung scarring and with some difficulty breathing that didn't allow me to exercise for a while after. And I still feel some of that today. One of the first things, I was very cognizant of my exercise routine, as you know, working out and triathlons is something very important to me, both from a physical aspect, but also to kind of keep me sane. When I first got infected, I was wondering if this was going to have an effect on my cardiovascular abilities. So as I said, I actually tried to do some running right when I got sick, and I felt okay. Then I took a turn for the worse and I got really bad, so obviously I stopped then. And then once I recovered, I went to see the doctor. We did a pulmonary function test that showed I had decreased pulmonary function due to the scarring and due to my lungs inability to kind of expand the way that they had before. I asked him if it was okay for me to continue, working out the way I had before. He said, obviously, just do as much as you feel. That was the advice from the doctor was, do what you can, don't push it, and that'll help you recover. So I started. At first, I went jogging. I wasn't able to complete. I used to run 5-6 miles a day, no issues. I was only able to complete like half a mile before I had to walk. My heart rate jumped up incredible. I was tracking it with my running watch as I was going. So it was very difficult at the beginning, but I just kept pushing myself to do more and more cardiovascular training, because the more that I feel like I worked on my lungs, the better it was. For me, the impact of this disease as a society has been huge. I don't think life is ever going to go back to the way it was before. In my job alone, they've already told us that we are not going back to the office until April of 2021. And even when that happens, it's still never going to be what it was before.